Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dark, episode 43, which took place on July 21st, 2020. I've come up with a kind of a scoring system since most of these matches are some would derisively call them jobber matches. I prefer to think of them as matches with a foregone conclusion. Yeah, but there's a value there. I really enjoy this show, and I think it's a really important part of the modern wrestling landscape. It's one of the very few bright spots, honestly, of what I see on the wrestling landscape. So I want to encourage it, and I also want it to be a bit of a teaching tool. Since most of the people who watch this are wrestling people, specifically wrestlers, I want to make this as valuable as possible, and I think I came up with a thing today that's really good, so I'm going to use it as a standard. Excalibur and Taz are opening the show. Very good announce team. Excalibur describes this as another supersized edition of AEW Dark. By that, I think he means, we're looking at more than an hour-long show, which is now the norm. It makes me realize that one of the reasons I like AEW Dark compared to many other wrestling shows is because it always over-delivers on my expectations. When's the last time a show over-delivered? I'll let you marinate on that and let it extract your own personal bias. If you desperately want to say, no, I really think, then you're reaching, and I know what kind of fanboy you are, because the truth is almost nobody over-delivers anymore, but AEW Dark over-delivers consistently. And here's proof in the pudding. Miss Chanel, people go back and forth about whether they like her or not. I think she does a pretty good job. And she's in there with Hikaru Shida. Okay, what are the three standards? I think each match is going to be judged on a 3-point scale. Are the stars put over? And that means, one, of course, do you lose to them, which is the minimum job that you're doing. But are you also highlighting their strengths, so when they wrestle more competitive matches, we know a little bit about them? That's what I would call putting the stars over. Making the stars of the match look great is priority number 2. It's not about everybody coming out roses. That's what you can do in a perfect, let's call it an enhancement match. But the priorities have to be, one, the star has to be put over. I have to come out of that match feeling like, all right, that person is dominant in some way, shape, or form. Number 2, that they also looked great. You emphasize their strengths to the point that we really have a good idea of who they are. And then 3, at that point, can the enhancement talent be made to look good as well? Match number 1. I would say that definitely Hikaru Shida was put over. 2, she looked great. Hikaru Shida, what I got out of this match, she might be pound for pound the strongest woman in pro wrestling right now. The physical feats that she was able to put, they did a delayed vertical suplex, was better than what the quote-unquote muscular guys have pulled off lately. It looked really great. The two of them flowed. I don't think Chanel was really made to look good. That's not to say Shida didn't give her spots. She most certainly did. She had her moments, but some of the stuff looked a little choppy out of Chanel. So I guess I would give this on the 3-point scale 2.5. Cool. Shida is definitely improving. And she looks really pro-style. As much as they do good smoke and mirrors booking and Omega agents the women's matches really well, I don't think it's fair to say that the top stars in AEW are on par with WWE women top stars. They're not. But Shida is beginning to make the case stronger and stronger. It's great. Oh, I loved the finish, by the way. Her picking her up in the Falcon Arrow, Chanel almost countering it, and then Shida pulling her up and then delivering the move. It's small stuff like that I think is really great. Second match, Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford, as I heard somebody call her, versus Corey Hollis. Was the star put over Kip Sabian? Yes. Did Kip Sabian look great? Yes. I think Corey Hollis did something that's kind of tough to do, which is to have a competitive match, but it's still clear that the star of the match is the star. Did the enhancement talent look good? Yes. I think Corey Hollis is the enhancement talent that did the best job on this show. Robert Anthony, I thought in the Darby Allin match did really well as also, but Corey Hollis he looked very crisp. Facial expressions were on point. He didn't take away from Kip Sabian in order to look good himself. And he took that, I think the Deathly Hallows, which is like a torture rack, into a facebuster thing from Kip Sabian. I think that's a very wonky finish for someone his size to use. But Corey Hollis certainly made it look dynamite. Really good. We get a bit of Dustin training the Nightmare Sisters, which went predictably, but it was well done. Number 3 match, Best Friends against Brady Pierce and Savvy. Were the stars put over? Yes. Did the stars look great? No. They did not look great in this match, and the enhancement didn't look particularly good. This is probably what I thought the least effective match of them all was. Now, if the story is Brady Pierce and Savvy are much bigger than Best Friends, so the Best Friends have to use their superior tag wrestling in order to compensate for that size disadvantage, I think that would have made a really great story for this and could have gotten them all three of the points, as it were. But it just didn't really work that way. Brady Pierce and Savvy often found themselves, they were doing the thing that I really hate, that I just don't think works in AEW that well, which is de facto heels hit a spot and then admire themselves about it excessively. There's something about it that just doesn't look right. The number 4 match, Will Hobbs versus Ricky Starks. Was the star put over Ricky Starks? Yes. Did he look great? Yes, but he had to kind of force himself to look great. This was not a good outing for Will Hobbs, in my opinion. He did not look good in it. There's nothing about him that made you think, oh, this is somebody I would like to see. Not a good outing for Will Hobbs, who's a big guy. But did I get like he's a Samoa Joe in the making. He's a Keith Lee in the making. Nothing about that came across. Now, it could be because a number of times I've seen Ricky Starks in matches where he's the dominant, right? Where he's the one being put over. And these matches he doesn't really work with the guys. I mean, yes, it's about himself getting put over and about him looking great. And those things normally get accomplished. So you could say the point of the match comes across, but it just doesn't. Oh man, rarely does the enhancement talent look good in the ring with Ricky Spears. And you could argue with me that that's not really the main point, so that's okay, and I wouldn't disagree with you, but I'm just calling them as I see them. Match number 5, Aaron Solo versus Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky suffers a little bit from what a lot of the AEW guys do, is they're so interested in number 3, making the enhancement or whoever they're in the ring with look good, that often one of the other 2 things gets sacrificed. Here, I think he did a better job. I think Scorpio Sky was definitely put over. I think he looked great, but it was mostly because of his own effort. Aaron Solo at times had a chance to make himself look good and didn't do it. And it's usually by choices made in the match. For instance, when Solo had like a series of moves that looked really great, series of strikes, and he almost got a pin where Taz really got to put it over his whoa, 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 whoa. He almost got that pin, and then he just died. He just started selling inexplicably and kind of took away the energy and the momentum of the match. And he probably thought, well, it makes it look like a competitive match. But what it does is go well, this is your time to shine, so shine. Why are you selling excessively after a flurry of offense? It was bad luck. That's what I'm saying. And Scorpio Sky won. Number 6 match, Kylan King, who's no secret I am a fan of, against Diamante. This was a terrible choice of a matchup for AEW Dark. If Diamante is going into this match with somebody else who's relatively small in Ivelisse in a match on Dynamite, putting her against Kylan King did not make her look good. She was put over, but she was not made to look great because the size differential was too much, and Diamante did not structure the match in such a way as she was overcoming the height differential. They were just going through their spots, and then just some of them would just look wonky because Kylan King was like a foot taller than she was. It shows that Diamante doesn't really get what's going on. I think she really missed a chance with Kylan King to do stuff that made her look ruthless, one, but also very smart. And to just pretend to wrestle a match and not pretend that there's a huge size differential just seems foolish to me. So I would say number 2 didn't happen, and subsequently number 3 couldn't happen, which is a shame because Kylan King definitely is a good presence on the show. I think she can be there to really put the other women over and make them look great and hopefully get a gig herself. But this match did not do her any favors, and I suspect it's because Diamante, they were less concerned about the story of the match, and they need to be the most concerned about the story of the match. By the way, I did like that there was a crowd there for AEW Dark. Sometimes we've had it that there haven't been people in the audience, at least in the early matches. And this time they had crowd throughout, and it really helped. They really need to make sure there are people out there making noise for all of the AEW Dark matches. Cool. Number 7, Robert Anthony against Darby Allin. This match came the closest to hitting all 3. Darby Allin definitely put over, definitely looked great, especially that super fast flurry in the beginning. Boy, does Darby Allin, he looks different, he looks special. He's not just quick, he is the most quick. He's not just tough, he is the most tough. And the commentators were especially animated during this and did an exceptionally good job, probably because Taz and Brian Cage have heat with Darby Allin, so it gave him a point at which to talk over. Though I would like it if Taz would put over less, I'm going to be a professional. He said it so many times that it took away from the commentary. Get the idea across once and then move on. But overall, I did like the commentary, but Taz continually going to the, I can be objective, I can be blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we get it. Hit the point once and let it go. Coffin drop. Robert Anthony, I thought looked really great. He was really animated. So I think 3 happened as well. So yeah, Darby Allin was put over. He was made to look great. And then I think Robert Anthony gained something from this as well, because him interacting with Darby Allin and like, I'm not going to be disrespected, fight me and all that stuff. I thought that looked really great. After the match, Brian Cage comes out, whoops on Darby, and Ricky Starks helps, taking out Robert Anthony. Which means, are we going to get Ricky Starks, Robert Anthony? That's kind of cool. Are we going to get Ricky Starks, Darby Allin? That's kind of cool as well. See, using AEW Dark effectively to advance 1 or 2 angles, I think is a smart way to use the show. And then number 8, our de facto main event, Peter Avalon with Leva Bates and Brandon Cutler against Butcher and the Blade. Will Avalon and Cutler get their first win? No, of course not. Butcher and Blade rip right through them as they should, though the spots where Avalon and Cutler were working together worked really well. I did think the spot with Leva on the outside ended up looking really wonky and concerned that people really got hurt, which apparently didn't happen, which is great. What Leva was wearing, by the way, she looked fantastic. So were Butcher and Blade put over? Most definitely. Boy, that was at a dominant win, and they looked great doing it. Looked very crisp, and them continually calling out the Bucks, I thought looked really awesome. Looking forward to that match tonight, as it turns out. And did Avalon and Cutler look good? Yeah, they did. So match 7 and match 8 really hit all 3 of the points, and the other matches hit 1 or 2, but not all 3, and a couple of them barely got the 1. So that's going to be the new standard I'm going to use. I think that works effectively, and it works as a teaching tool better that way. Then we got a promotion for tonight's AEW Dynamite. Hasn't been called Dynamite in a few weeks, almost a month, so it's nice. TNT title will be defended. Adam Page against number 5 of the Dark Order. That's Alan Angels of Georgia fame. Yay. Ivelisse against Diamante. I have a feeling Diamante will look much better against somebody her height. And MJF will be in action. Against whom? We'll have to see. And then the two members of Jurassic Express that seem like an actual threat, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, against Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. Anyway, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, for Platinum versus AEW Dark.